Take away like talking about it.
Conversation.
Yeah, what do you think about DMT?
Joe Rogan's very in favor. I had I did psychedelics a bunch of times, and I found
Try DMT?
I haven't tried DMT yet.
What about EMT?
I never did.
That's a course, my friend.
So I did psychedelics a bunch of times, and like a lot of people, I had mystical experiences on them. The feelings of being I didn't do ayahuasca, but I had the feeling of being like one with the universe. I had the feeling of encountering the great place of love that feeds everything.
What about the orb?
I was LSD and mushrooms basically, and
Both of them
V.
at the same time?
I didn't know. I did at various times.
Yeah, but like on a quote,
So just like the acid, or just that? Well, I don't get it. When did you have that experience? Like, I'm just not even understanding.
I think that happened like over the course of like a bunch of different trips at different times, but it was something that I noticed. I was my sense of like self and how I was engaging with the world, and my encounter of I guess something that you would think of as God would was all happening like that. And I wanted to, like, I was sort of observing what I was going through there and going, oh, well, like, how do I feel about this? What do I think of this? Is this just my mind playing tricks on me? Or is this like the revelatory stuff that people are talking about in all the holy texts all the time? And, you know,
burning bush of Moses was really
right. People say. So that was like in my mid-20s, and I had been reading stuff like Joseph Campbell's Hero of a Thousand Faces, like Slate Star Codex, Meditations on Moloch, stuff like this, which was you're reframing a lot of these ideas for me in ways that made a lot more sense than what I'd been told as a teenager. But to swing it back around to the Quran. I was reading the Quran, and a few things struck me. First thing that struck me was that the whole thing being that it's like from the point of view of God. If you want to read it sincerely, you have to have some conception of God. You can't like read it from a purely secular point of view because the whole thing doesn't make sense then. So I thought, all right, well, I've had these experiences. I have like these models for like for understanding at least like what communication with God means, and go with it. Just like actually read this book as though it's God specifically talking to you. And so I did that, and that was just a powerful psychological repositioning that I had to undergo just to read the thing. So that was very intense and very interesting. The next thing that I noticed that was really interesting was that the Quran seems to explicitly forbid forcing people to convert, which was not at all what I expected. There's a line in the 3rd chapter, and if they dispute with you, the people of the book, that's us and maybe the Christians, or those who read not, meaning like heathens, pagans, say to them, I have submitted myself in Islam, and ask them, have you submitted in Islam? And if they say yes, they are rightly guided, but if they say no, then upon you is only the duty of notification, and Allah is seeing of His servants. So the idea is that it's not the place of the Muslim to like force other people to convert, and also it's God who sees who's actually His servant and who's not. It's not your decision to make. So that was another thing I noticed.
That's profound,
right? It's pretty profound. And the other thing I noticed, which struck me like really hard, was the 2nd chapter of the Quran, which is also the biggest chapter of the Quran, has a lot of discussion of Moshe Rabbeinu and the Jews in the desert. Yeah, and
What does it say?
so that's what struck me. God says to the Jews in the 2nd chapter of the Quran, I don't have the exact words right, but something like as a rebuke. He's like, and indeed I have taken you and elevated you above all peoples, and chosen you as my people, and so why is it that you turn your back on me?
Right.
that really struck home. So I've grown up being told.
So Arabs think that the reason why they should hate Jews is because Jews turned their back on God?
So I think
Christians have the same basic.
Yeah, so, but again, so the Christian, I think a lot of Christians have that same basic view. At the same time, you find a similar sentiment in the New Testament, which I didn't see till a lot later.
Makes sense.
But in the New Testament, it says in I think book of Romans, it says, "Lest you think that God has turned His back on His people Israel, I tell you, nothing can be farther from the truth."
That's the book of Romans as Christians.
Yeah, it said nothing can be further from the
Christians don't
truth.
think that Jews turned their backs.
Well, this is the verse. I'm just telling you the verse.
The Muslims don't believe that either, by the way. It's not, there's no turning back on the Jews either. In terms of the Muslim perspective, the Jewish people are part unto God. It's not like, it's only the last 30 to 50 years.
Right.
Jews have lived under the Muslim rule for 1,000 years.
They believe that Jews are chosen people.
They believe that Jewish people are monotheistic and under God. It's not about chosen or not chosen, it's just monotheistic under God. It's a big difference in Islam, because Islam is very strict under the concept of monotheistic belief. Islam is the perspective of the fact that there's one God.
How come as soon as Israel was created, all
That's a whole
Muslims were always
different, that's a different conversation, because Islam has a certain perspective in terms of the cultural and social
Shlomo.
aspects.
I think like that. I want to talk to that question a bit more in thing. I just want to wrap up. The basic thing is based on this stuff that I encounter in the Quran. I sort of felt that as a personal challenge to me as a Jew, where I thought, well, if this is something that this guy who I respected so much takes so seriously, and this isn't like a Jewish text saying, "Oh, you have to," you know, this isn't a Jewish text saying that the Jews are chosen to be designated special servants unto God, but it's a Muslim text. Then maybe I should start taking that more seriously myself. And at the same time, it was becoming clearer and clearer to me that it was a big moment for me. And at the same time, it was becoming clearer and clearer to me that like being a tourist in various spiritual paths was entertaining and informative, and it occasionally it gave me insights and wisdom, but that I was missing out on the real spiritual work, and the real deep spiritual work of purification doesn't really come to you from being just like picking at the buffet salad bar. There's a Tibetan parable. They say their mashal is, it's like looking for water in the desert. That you can go into the desert, you can dig a bit here, and then you can go over there and dig a bit there, and go over there and dig a bit there. You're not going to find water. In order to find water, you have to find a spot that's right for you and dig. And every which way I looked at it, the way that was right for me, from my own personal view, from my family history, from the community I've grown up with, from my personal preferences, again and again, whichever way I turned it, Judaism was my path. And so I decided to take that seriously, and that wasn't an overnight thing for me, but I started picking up halakhic practice one at a time, stuff that was meaningful for me. This is about 26, 27.
You were raised in a Jewish halakhic family? Or
Yes.
You were?
Yeah.
I missed that part of the story.
Right.
How old are you?
Now I'm 30.
Third.
Yeah.
I can say you were 40.
Yeah.
Stress-free life, I'm just saying. I didn't see any grades.
Thank you.
Well, he's not 40. He's
I appreciate that. So I guess that's basically it in a nutshell. I'm seeing a lot of people have questions. So I'll wrap it up there with just like a general thing is, I don't know how much my life's like your life, and I don't know how much of my story is relevant to what you're doing. But if you if there is anything that I have said or that I can say that's useful to you, please ask. And may this Adar be a time of great rejoicing for all the Jews, and for all of the children of God, all the people of the world, and may we celebrate at our rebuilt temple in Jerusalem soon.
Yeah.